Okay, let's dive right into this explainer and decode exactly how the digital tools we rely on every single day are legally and technologically protected. We interact with software constantly, but we rarely stop to think about the massive, invisible infrastructure that's designed to keep it all safe. So today, we're opening up the digital defense dossier to see exactly how the whole shebang works.
Before we jump in, here's our blueprint. We're going to go from the basics of code as intellectual property over to the threat of piracy, explore those tricky license boundaries, analyze the defense architecture, and finally look at global watchdogs. Let's get started. All right, section 1. Code is intellectual property. We really need to understand what it is we're trying to protect before we can understand the defenses. Consider our baseline reality for a second. We all know that a massive hit song on Spotify, or a blockbuster movie, or a best-selling novel is protected by law, right? Well, believe it or not, writing software takes the exact same level of dedication. It takes months or even years of grueling effort, just like creating a piece of art. And because of that massive effort, developers own the intellectual property of their code in the exact same way musicians own their songs. So the absolutely crucial point here is that copyright laws step in to act as this literal legal shield. This completely transforms what is essentially just vulnerable lines of code into a legally protected exclusive asset. Copyright ensures that creators are the absolute only ones who get to dictate how their work is used and how it's sold. Moving right along to section 2, the threat of piracy. Now that we know what's actually being protected, let's take a look at the primary threat vector trying to break that shield. Software piracy isn't just about copying a file for a buddy. It is the unauthorized, downright illegal copying of software. Think of it as an illegal bypass of the entire financial ecosystem that is absolutely required to sustain software development in the first place. It directly circumvents the creator's legal rights. And this triggers a totally devastating domino effect. It doesn't just stop at one copied file. An illegal download leads directly to a huge revenue loss. That loss freezes the resources they need for new updates or even just paying their employees, and eventually it forces the studio to completely close down. This is the sequential true cost of so-called free software. When people steal software, creators are literally robbed of the money necessary to pay their hardworking staff. It halts all progress, it prevents awesome new features from being built, and ultimately, it crushes businesses, leaving us with a locked studio door. So, to stop this, the law sets up some very strict parameters. Let's look at Section 3, the 5 license boundaries. Now, here's a kind of wild fundamental truth that a lot of people don't realize. You never actually buy the code itself. Whether you get it on a CD, a DVD, or just download it online, you are only ever buying a license to use it. And under that specific license, the law explicitly forbids 5 key actions. Basically, it sets up this matrix of illegal actions. It means you can't just copy the software to sell it or share it around with your friends. You also can't abuse network licenses, like trying to run it on multiple office computers without buying a special network pass. And you absolutely cannot steal the underlying code to build and sell your own rival app. It also strictly forbids illegally renting the software out without publisher permission or, stealing a famous copyrighted brand's identity to slap on your own product. But because laws alone aren't always enough to stop bad actors, creators have to proactively build their own security. That brings us to Section 4, the defense architecture. Software companies construct an absolutely incredible defense architecture. They literally build layers upon layers of digital and physical barriers around their core software code just to ensure that absolutely only paying customers can access their hard work. And this security war is fought on 2 distinct fronts. On the digital side, we've got things like unique product keys and mandatory license agreements. But then on the physical side, hardware defenses step in, utilizing stuff like authentic holograms, required physical media disks, or those specialized USB dongles. Think about the security checkpoints you hit when you install a program. On the digital layer, typing a unique product key unlocks the installation, and clicking I agree acts as your legal consent checkpoint. Meanwhile, physical checks require actual real-world actions, like inspecting a shiny hologram for authenticity, inserting a physical media disk to localize your access, or plugging in a USB dongle that acts as a literal hardware key before the software will even open. Section 5. Global watchdogs and consequences. Finally, let's explore what actually happens when someone attempts to break through both the legal and those technological walls. Believe it or not, There's a dedicated worldwide network of what you can basically think of as digital police. These are massive organizations actively hunting down pirates globally and dragging them to court. For example, you've got the Federation Against Software Theft, or FAST, in the UK, there's the IPA operating over in the USA, and the JPA in Japan. They are constantly watching. And to truly understand the real-world stakes here, just consider this number: $100,000. This was the actual result of a case where two eBay traders got caught selling illegal copies of Norton security software. They were sued for this staggering, massive amount in damages. See, piracy carries devastating financial penalties for the perpetrators. These global watchdogs, they are absolutely not making idle threats. When they catch rule breakers attempting to bypass the financial ecosystem of software, they take them straight to court, and the gavel comes down hard. So, if there is one massive takeaway from this explainer, it's this. True software protection doesn't rely on just one single thing. It requires a unified triad functioning simultaneously. The law sets the copyright rules, technology builds the digital and physical walls, and enforcement punishes the rule breakers. Without all three of those working together, the entire ecosystem completely collapses. I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on. Think about the apps, the video games, and the professional tools that you use every single day. Without this incredibly intricate, interconnected system of legal defense, technological walls, and global enforcement, would those tools even exist for you to use today? Thanks for exploring the digital defense dossier with me.